Okay, this is my video on rogue poisons. I don't claim to be an expert on rogue poisons. In fact, I just started playing a rogue in the last few months when I got a free heroic and decided to create it. A rogue was one of the classes I had never played to any high level, and I wanted to try it out. So this is really a compilation of my research on poisons and what I've learned. It may be incorrect in certain areas, but at least it'll give you kind of an overview of this current state of poisons for the high level game. I'm not focusing on TLP servers. There's plenty of people covering that. The first thing to know about rogue poisons is that you can use two poisons simultaneously, a DPS poison and a utility poison. And the DPS poison at the current high-level games has a variety of options. There's something called draconic poison, which comes from the Ring of Scale expansion. And from what I understand, that has a slightly lower per proc DPS than Spider's Bite, but it has a 50% enhanced proc rate. And so that's probably your top poison right now, but it's very hard to get. The second is the various Spider's Bite. Currently it's Spider's Bite 20, which gives you, as I said, higher damage and normal proc rate. And then Consigned Bite of the Shisher, which is good solid damage, normal proc rate. And it comes from the fact that rogues never change their pants and they get frankly poisonous, and they squeeze out poison out of their pants. And so they can never be without poison once you get a certain level of group pants. You just click on them and out comes poison. And finally, Talon and Valen tactics poisons are another option. As far as I know, they're really only useful on raids, and you need at least 4 rogues, 2 using Talon's tactics and 2 using Valen's tactics. As I said, Bite of the Shisher Poison Strike does more damage per proc. That's your poison from your pants, Consigned Bite of the Shisher, and it has an aggro lowering component. But Draconic, which does less damage per proc, procs more often, so it will do more for your DPS. So that's a Ring of Scale. There's no upgrade in the last 2 expansions. So our best poison is probably 3 expansions old. The components to manufacture draconic poison, one reason it's so rare, are found in Gorowin, Skyfire Mountains, and Vishan's Peak. Well, how many people do you know are experiencing in those zones? And how many people know to save the main component that you need to manufacture this, which is the Laciratilia venom? I've made it so small that with my vision I can barely read these damn things. But this is the component. So what you do is you tell your friends. It's actually they're good, valuable components. If you want to, you can sell them for thousands of plats a piece at least. You're not going to see a lot of draconic poison. Not only is it a drop found in relatively underused zones, but it's a rare drop. So you're not going to be using these routinely. Spider's Bite 20, you'll see a lot more often. That's what is Spider's Bite 20 and Scorpion's Agony are 2 that I leveled my rogue's poison making skill using the Scorpion's Agony because I had a lot of those procs. These are current TOV poisons, and just let your guild mates and stuff know that you're looking for the components for them. and you can make those. This is your current kind of best poison that you're going to see routinely. So Velium lace nigriventer venom is found in crystal caverns, Velketeer's labyrinth, and I thought it was found in Ryger's mines too. I'm almost positive that you can get it in Ryger's mines. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what you're looking at. The Velium laced Gormer venom you'll find routinely in a lot of other TOV zones, and that's the one you make the Scorpion's Agony, which is a DPS poison, but it also increases aggro. So it's great to give to your tanks for a number of reasons. And then combined Bite of the Shisher, it lowers aggro and increases your DPS. This is what you're going to use all the time. It should always be up unless you want to use something better. I rarely use other poisons unless, yeah, I rarely use them. I have a couple stacks in my bags, but I just don't pull them out too often. I usually just go with consigned Bite of the Shisher. Now, there is another category of poisons that you'll hear about: Talon's Tactic and Valen's Tactic poison. These poisons interact with each other. Basically, if one poison makes, I believe it's Talon's, makes the mob susceptible to Valen's Tactic poison, and they do supposedly really good damage. These are raid poisons. You need at least 4 rogues, 2 using Talon's Tactic, 2 using Valen's Tactics. And I have never used them myself in raids, so I can't speak to this, but I have read that some people don't think they're that great. Other people like them. These are a couple of quotations from people on Everquest forums talking about how they work. And the general, what I agree with is basically the poison out of your leggings, your pants, are going to be your primary poison, unless maybe you're going at the real, like when I'm soloing, I'm trying to solo just a very cutting edge mob. I haven't done this so much on my rogue, but on my necro, the 4th or 5th floor of Tower of Frozen Shadows, there are some level mobs that I'm trying to solo on my necro. And so far, that has ended with me either gating out, FDing, or dying. But I keep getting close. I know I'm going to be able to solo these mobs eventually. And this would be an example. If I was doing that with my rogue, where I would go with my top poison because I want to just give myself as much of an edge as possible. But you're talking very little difference. Now, remember I said you can use 2 poisons. The second category are your utility poisons. Those are poisons that will slow a mob for you, or snare a mob, or debuff the mob. The primary ones you'll probably use, and I would recommend, would be your slow, which is Myrmidon Sloth, and the snare, which is Messenger Bane. You could also use Quellius Trauma, which is a de-aggro poison, but your pants also have a de-aggro, and I frankly don't have a lot of problem with aggro on my rogue. But that's with a really good tank. If you have and I'm not, if you have really hot DPS, then you can pull aggro off of a tank if he's newer or something. But then that's your job, is to kind of balance your aggro a little bit until the tank can handle it. But so Quellius Trauma, there would be a possibility. These are just some examples of the various poisons. Interesting, look at Myrmidon Sloth on EQ Resource. Look up Myrmidon Sloth 18 and the slow rate for that. And then look at Myrmidon Sloth 19 and the slow rate. Just compare those 2 slow rates. There is no Myrmidon Sloth 20. The developers have pretty much said that's maxed. There's not going to get any better than it is now. And all of these have a variety of ranges for different levels. You know, Merman Sloth 1 through 20. I won't say all of them do, but a lot of them do. Sloth is what you'll probably start your upward progress when you're leveling poison making skill. So I've talked about poisons that rogues can use, but Spider's Bite and Scorpion's Agony, for example, could be used by any class. And why would you know, so you can make poisons for instance, your tank can use Scorpion's Agony, and that helps him hold aggro. It also adds DPS. You can give Spider's Bite to your bards, monks, berserkers, and that'll add DPS for them. It also will help because it'll also help you fulminate your covenant or alliance abilities. In those situations, you need to have a certain number of poison procs to fulminate it. And the poison procs can come from any class. It doesn't have to be a rogue. It just has to be another party. So making sure all of your other melee have poison on their blades can help. Particularly in a raid, you're really not going to use this, the Covenant in grouping, but you can. You may read about absorbing agents. It used to be that you had to use an absorbing agent, or you could, and it would help your poison become more dangerous. We used to have an absorbing agent AA, and that's been melded into Twisted Shank, which now increases the damage your target takes from poison. You can have that up. It lasts for a minute, and you can cast it every minute and a half. So you're going to have a 30-second gap. If you want, you can go out and get Shadow Silk Sash is the usual one, but that is there are items that have absorbing agents, so you can cast that to try and close that little bit of a gap. It's not something I've done, but you could. Here are the various sources of information where I've got a lot of my data. And again, don't take everything I say as gospel, but it may give you starting points to look for poison. And that's really all I have to say on poisons right now. There's probably a lot more to say. As I said, I haven't covered a lot of the lower stuff in TLP servers. I haven't covered crafting poisons other than just to be on the lookout for your ingredients. I will talk to you later.